Welcome back. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the different types of domains you can use. This is important for two reasons, as number one, it's going to have a big impact on how fast you can rank your website, and number two, how easy it's going to be for you to flip your site later on in the future. So what is the first type of domain? Well, the first type of domain is what we call an EMD. An EMD contains your exact target keyword. Hence the name EMD, exact match domain. It contains your exact match keyword. For example, let's imagine you want to target the keyword best gaming chairs, because we'll just use the same example to keep things consistent. And if you was lucky enough to have the domain name bestgamingchairs.com, which is exactly your keyword in your domain name, then that would be classified as an exact match domain. So what are the pros and cons of EMDs? Well, the first pro of an EMD is it allows you to rank the fastest. When I say the fastest, I'm comparing this to the other two types of domains I'm going to run through in just a second. But pretty much the topic of the domain is set in stone, and Google has no doubt whatsoever what your website is about. If your website is called thebestgamingchairs.com, then there is literally zero confusion. Google is going to understand a lot quicker that your website is about best gaming chairs. So what does that mean? Well, going back to what I said earlier on in the course, SEO is all about relevancy. The sooner and the quicker Google knows what your website is about, the quicker and the more likely Google is to return your website to users when searching for any keywords related to your topic. So EMDs are one of the best by far if you're looking to rank really fast. Moving on to the cons of EMDs. The first con of an EMD is harder to acquire backlinks for. If you're completely new to SEO and you're not sure what a backlink is, then don't worry that I'm going to cover this later on in the course, but essentially a backlink is when another website mentions your website. Google uses these backlinks in their algorithm to determine which sites it trusts and which ones are popular. Typically speaking, the more backlinks you have, the higher you're going to rank in Google. And the reason why it's harder to acquire backlinks when you have an EMD is because your domain name has commercial intent to it. So people are less likely to link to it as they see your website as just there to make money online, and it's not really a resource or solid guide for their users. The second con of an EMD is that you're more likely to receive a Google penalty. If your website is called bestgamingchairs.com, well, how do you build any branded links? Branded links are pretty much links that link to your website that use your brand name as the clickable hyperlink text. Again, it just doesn't make much sense. Don't worry, as I'm going to cover all of this in the dedicated link building section of the course. But pretty much, if you look at most typical websites, to comply with Skillshare's policies, I've had to blur out the logo from my website. So if you are wondering why does a website have no logo, well, it does indeed. I've just had to remove it from the video to ensure it's not deemed as self-promotion. For example, if you go over to clickslice.co.uk, you can see our brand is obviously called ClickSlice. We offer SEO services, so I haven't really mentioned any SEO related words in my domain name. The domain name is literally called ClickSlice. So people can link to our website saying ClickSlice. And Google knows ClickSlice is us, right? We're not trying to target any keywords when we're building backlinks linking to us using our branded name. However, if your website name is literally your keyword, bestgamingchairs.com, then anytime someone links you using your actual branded name, Google can see that and potentially misinterpret that you're trying to build lots of backlinks to rank for the keyword you're going to target. Of course, that is the main aim of doing SEO, but one of the best bits of advice I can give you when it comes to doing SEO is that you don't want to actively look like you are doing SEO. I know it sounds a bit backwards, but pretty much you have to see it as Google's biggest friends are people that pay for Google ads, as that's where Google make 97% of their revenue, and people who know SEO and rank in the organic section, well, they don't give Google any money. So Google doesn't really like us SEO people, to say the least. But going back onto topic now, when you have an EMD, you are more likely to receive a Google penalty, as you're going to be getting more links linking to your website that are mentioning the keyword you're trying to target, which means it's a lot easier to over-optimize your website. The third con of an EMD is that they are harder to sell. Now, the reason why they're harder to sell is because your domain name is literally all set in stone on that specific topic. So if you manage to max out the SEO and you're ranking for all of your keywords, the site is bringing in a lot of money, well, you have to see it in the eyes of an investor. If I was going to buy your website, well, what value does it really give me other than the income that's coming in right now? I don't really have any potential to add more content, to go into another niche. It's not really possible, right? When you have an EMD. This is why it can be a lot harder to sell. Moving on to the second one now. The second type of domain you can have is what we call a PMD. A PMD stands for a partial match domain. A partial match domain contains part of your keyword, hence the word part. So using our same example as before of best gaming chairs, if you was targeting the keyword best gaming chairs, then an example of a partial match domain would be www.gamingresource.com. This would be a partial match domain as a domain contains part of our keyword. We can see the keyword was best gaming chairs, so one of the words of that target keyword is the word gaming, and we have the word gaming in our domain name too. So it's partially related to our target keyword. Some other examples of partial match domains using the same example could be gamingguide.com. Again, it contains part of the keyword, or we could also have gaminghq.com. It doesn't really matter which one you go with, these are all classified as partial match domains. So what are some of the pros of PMDs? Well, the first pro is that they also allow you to rank really fast in Google. Notice how I said rank fast and not fastest as we did with EMDs, and that is because with partial match domains, you can indeed rank fast, but you cannot rank as fast as you would if you had an EMD. And the reason for this is because it's a little bit more difficult for Google to understand what your website is about. The second benefit of partial match domains is that they give you the opportunity to potentially expand the website. And what I mean by that is if you go back to our example on the previous slide of gamingresource.com, well, you can very easily target all the keywords related to best gaming chairs. However, as you have not specified the word chairs in your domain name, there's no reason why you can't do the best gaming headphones, the best gaming laptops. That's all related to the gaming resources, right? And the gaming guide and the gaming HQ. So when you have a partial match domain, it gives you the opportunity to potentially expand the website. And that's actually a benefit that has its own two benefits, as you can expand the site and increase the website's revenue and income. And of course, it's more lucrative to actual investors as well. So I guess in reality, it could be classified as two different things, but that is two very attractive things about PMDs. Moving on to the cons of partial match domains, it's going to be quite similar to EMDs, although it's not going to be as tight and as restrictive. As your domain contains part of your keyword, it's going to be slightly harder to acquire backlinks for. Now, what's very important to note is when I say slightly harder, I'm not referring to slightly harder in comparison to EMDs. I mean slightly harder in comparison to the next type I'm going to show you. But the main thing to focus on here is that if your domain name contains part of your keywords, then it can be seen to have high commercial intent, and websites are less likely to link to other websites that have commercial intent embedded in the domain name. The same logic applies to the second one as well. It is slightly easier to get a Google penalty. Now this is exactly for the same reasons that I specified when running through the exact match domains. Just with PMDs, it's going to give you more leeway. The third con of partial match domains is it can be slightly harder to sell. Again, these are all very similar to EMDs. The rules around PMDs are just not as strict. Finally, moving on to the last type of domain, which is branded domains. So a branded domain does not contain any of your target keywords. And as we saw earlier, an example of a branded domain could be clickslice.co.uk. And the reason why that is a branded domain, as like I ran through earlier, it does not contain any of our target keywords. But let me give you an example of a branded domain using the same keyword we've been using so far of best gaming chairs. Well, we could have www.playingguide.com. That domain contains none of our target keywords whatsoever, so it'd be classified as a branded domain. Or another example we could use is www.playzone.com. Notice how I've gone with the word play and playing in both of them. That is because play is related to the topic of gaming, right? When you're playing a video game, what are you doing? Well, you're playing. So I put another word which is similar to the topic, but it does not include any of the keywords. That is how you can create a branded domain, which is also on topic of your target keywords. It's a really good strategy which always works well for me. For example, just showing you clickslice.co.uk. Well, when you do SEO and your website ranks higher, what do you generate? You generate more website clicks, right? So that's why I had the word click in there, and I just put a random word of slice because I like the name slice. I think I had pizza at the time when I was researching my domain, so I combined them together. But pretty much this is how I came up with the domain name clickslice.co.uk. .co.uk is a branded domain, it's related to my topic, but it does not contain any of my target keywords, which is exactly the same principles for Playing Guide and playzone.com. Following suit, what are the pros and cons of branded domains? Well, the first benefit is that it's the easiest to do link building for. Again, when I say easiest, I'm referring to in comparison to exact match and partial match domains. When you have a branded domain, websites are not going to hesitate to link to you. They will happily link to you with no issues whatsoever, as they don't believe there's any commercial intent behind your domain purely based on your actual domain name. It doesn't matter if your homepage is full of products. If your domain name is brandable, you're more likely to acquire backlinks. The second benefit of a branded domain is that it's the easiest to flip in comparison to an exact match and a partial match domain. And the main driving reason why is because it has tons of opportunities to scale and go into different niches, as your domain is not tied down to any specific topic. So from an investor's perspective, this is very lucrative and is something they always are on the lookout for. Moving on to the cons, well, the biggest con of branded domains is that it ranks the slowest. As there is no mention of the keyword in your domain name, it's going to take a lot longer for Google to realize what is your website about. Again, this goes back to what I said earlier multiple times already. It all goes back to topical relevancy, how relevant your website is to a topic. When you have a branded domain, it's a little bit harder for Google to determine that. So we've gone through the 3 different types now. So what is my recommendation? Well, I recommend that you go with either a partial match domain or a branded domain. And the reason being, whilst exact match domains are good, they have too much limitations and they don't give you any opportunity to expand the site in the future. And it's also a lot harder to flip the website. Flipping websites is a big part of my strategy, so I want to make it as easy as possible. And I'm pretty much always thinking of my exit strategy before I even start the site. However, if you have no intention of flipping the website for a big multiple in the future, then of course, by all means, you can go for an exact match domain. Just be wary that it's going to be a lot harder to find an exact match domain as well, because a lot of people are trying to find them and build websites on them because they're so much easier and quicker to rank. But I think the real reason why you should avoid exact match domains is because, let's imagine your website is called besttoasters.com. Again, you write all the content for toasters, you're ranking really high. Well, your income is going to be limited eventually. You have no potential to expand the site and talk about microwaves, right? It wouldn't make any sense seeing a website called besttoasters.com talking about the best microwaves. They're 2 completely different things, meaning there is going to be a ceiling on the amount of money you can generate. In summary, I would say if you are after results quick, then go with a partial match domain. And if you're willing to wait it out and you want the best results in terms of ROI and the scale of flip, then go with a branded domain. So hopefully that is useful, and I'll see you in the next one where I'm going to show you how I brainstorm domain name ideas.